What's up, guys? Today we're going to be changing this caliper out because we got a seized up caliper going on here on the GS 350. Basically what has happened is I got the new caliper right here. On these vehicles you have this pin that doesn't have a bolt to it. That one got seized up on the old one, so I went ahead and painted the outside of it just to give it a little bit better look. That's all you're gonna be able to see as I'm driving down the street anyway. So we're basically gonna be replacing that, and I'm gonna show you guys a little trick where I'll go ahead and show it to you. I already went ahead and you can take saran wrap or a Ziploc bag, press all of the air out of it and put it in your brake fluid reservoir. Just make sure you push all the air out of it. That way when you put the new caliper on, you won't have, once you unhook the brake line, you won't have fluid going everywhere. Let me go ahead and get this wheel taken off. Alright, you guys, we got the wheel off, and basically how I found out that I needed to replace this caliper here is I started to replace my rotors, and I went ahead and ordered me some drilled and slotted rotors, and I'll show you guys on the passenger side what happened. So this is how it came out on the passenger side. Looked pretty good, but when I got to the driver's side rear, I had issues actually getting the caliper to pull back, and I noticed that it wasn't even sliding on the bottom pin. So once I got this bolt off, this top bolt off, and pulled the caliper, leaned it back some, I had to actually take a hammer and hit it back because it seized up so bad on there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and just do a whole swap out. That's probably the why I was having the symptoms that I was having. Some of my symptoms was, as I'm driving, it felt like it almost felt like my brakes were grinding, like as if my pads were all the way down to metal, but it actually wasn't. It's just this side is not engaging properly because this is not able to slide from side to side as it should be. So what we're doing here, guys, is we're gonna go ahead and undo this top bolt. You gotta excuse my hand. I'm holding my phone in my hand trying to record this video. Alright, so I got that. Once you get that bolt out so far, it's out. So this is the problem I was having. See, that's not, you're not supposed to have to take a hammer to hit that back like that. So I'm not even gonna waste my time and decompress this caliper or anything because it's already bad. So I'm gonna go ahead and just hit it back some more so I can have access to let's see. There's two bolts back here. My hand is on one, two. So if I show you the new caliper, you can see the bracket. You can see where those two bolts are gonna go. So what you need is a 9/16 socket. I'm already on bolt number 1 back here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab a paint can real quick because paint can seem to be the perfect height to hold this caliper, because you don't want to leave your caliper dangling once you take it off, because you don't want to damage this return line or this feeder line. So let me go ahead and grab a paint bucket, and we'll go ahead and continue this video. Alright guys, you see the purpose of the paint can. What I was telling you about a while ago, you just get you a paint can. That way it can hold the caliper. This the whole assembly off of the vehicle. As you can see, what I have to do, and why I showed you the plastic bag in the reservoir earlier, is when I unhook this line, hopefully the plan is for it to act like a vacuum seal, like when you take a straw and put it in a drink and put your thumb on top and pull it out, all of the fluid stay inside the straw. That's the same effect we should have when we go ahead and switch out the new caliper. But what you got to do is you have to take this cap off and fill it up with brake fluid as much as you can, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to not have any air. When you go from putting this line on here, you want it to be fluid to fluid. It can be a little tricky trying to do it without making a little bit of a mess. You're gonna get some brake fluid somewhere, but it's better than wasting brake fluid all over the ground and having to bleed all of your brakes because you got some air in the line. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and take off my I do ride on 7mm spacers, and I got my hub centric rings. If you got any custom wheels on your vehicle and you don't have these hub centric rings, you probably get a bunch of vibration and shaking on the road. And the problem I was having before I got them is these studs were breaking because the wheel was just floating on the hub and being bolted to the car and putting extra stress on these when the wheel is supposed to sit on something. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my bolt in, get this old rotor off so I can swap it out for the new one. And this is a pretty easy job, guys. Like, you don't have to be that mechanically inclined to do your own brakes. Somebody taught me when I was like 16, which was 25 years ago. That's what those little holes are for. You take you a bolt, stick it in there, and it'll pop it loose from that emergency brake grip, and it's so tough on the back side. Now you can back this out after you get it off the car, but I like to keep my bolt somewhere. I keep my bolt in my trunk where I keep all of my other my extra hub rings, my extra spacers, all of those things. Extra I have extra studs in case one break. Get that one. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna line up these holes, you guys. I already know I have the right rotor because I put the other one on the other side. And if you ever order custom rotors or rotors like this, it tells you on the box which one is passenger right and which one is passenger left. Did I say that right? No, it tells you which one is the rear left and the rear right. So you always pay attention to that. You don't want to put these on the wrong side because they do go in a certain direction, in which I'll show you after I put it on. All right, guys, I got it put on. As you can see, these holes go back, which when you stop, the reason why they go back, if you look on vehicles, is because when you stop and the brake compresses, you want all of the vibration and the air to actually go away from the vehicle. So if you never heard nobody explain that to you, that if you notice most of the drilled and slotted rotors or drilled only, they're gonna go away, go back. And that's how you know that you have them on the right side also. So my next step is I'm gonna go ahead and fill this up with brake fluid, as I told you guys earlier, so I can take this one bolt off and put it on here. And guys, in these packs you have a couple of washers in here. Make sure you swap out these old washers that's attached to this brake line and put the new ones on the new one. That way you don't have any problems in the future. All right, you guys, so what I did is I took my brake fluid and I went ahead and I poured some in. And what you want to do is you want to move this caliper around, tilt it forward, tilt it sideways, both ways, and make sure it go into any channels that's on the inside, and that way you can fill it up to the rim. And then you take your 9/16, and that's what size this bolt is. I'm gonna go ahead and unbolt this. Hopefully we don't get fluid everywhere. We shouldn't. And then I'm gonna just hook it up to this new caliper, and then we'll go ahead with our brake pad installation. All right, guys, just to show you that I wasn't lying or pulling your coattail, I unhooked the brake line. Very little brake fluid. As you can see, it's dripping a little bit, but not enough to cause a big spill. So I'm gonna go ahead and swap it over real quick. Let me put my phone down. I'll be right back. All right, I got the new one on bolted. All I did was remove once I got it loose, I pulled it off the old one, stuck it right on the new one. Since it was topped off, we had a little spillage. You could see the shine, and you could probably see a little puddle from brake fluid. But other than that, you shouldn't have to bleed them because you didn't really lose any fluid out of the line, and you didn't let air get up in the line. So just a little trick. Make sure you put a plastic bag in your reservoir. I'm gonna show you guys one more time. Like that. Just take your cap off, put it in, push all of the air out, and put your cap back on, and you'll create like a vacuum effect. So all we got to do is we got to bolt the bracket back on, and then I'll go ahead and install the pads. So the 2 bolts, the 9/16 bolts, that's all you need. I'm gonna go ahead and bolt this up, hand tighten them. That way I can get this bolt off and get the caliper pulled back for the new pads. All right, you guys, as you can see, I got everything. I got the caliper bracket bolted back to the vehicle, and I got this caliper, if I didn't mention, off of Amazon with the bracket for $52 or something like that. It wasn't no more than 53 bucks, and AutoZone wanted $160 just for the caliper, and then like another 40 for the bracket. So you see this old one, this the old one. I'm getting a little brake fluid everywhere. I'm gonna have to clean that up before my wife get on me. But this is the problem that we was having. This bottom part right here was seized up. I could not get it to break for anything. I sprayed it with penetrant and rust remover, nothing. Get a better shot of it. Here we go, right there by my thumb. You can see all of that crud just built up in there, and it would not give. So easier resort than sitting there fighting and battling with it. And I didn't want to tear up my new rotors by keeping that old one on. I just went on ahead and ordered me a new one. And so this one should work. I'm finna go ahead and slide the pads in and put my clips in. On this vehicle, it's pretty simple. I mean, we just, on Lexus, they give you like these, most of your pads, they just drop in. And then you have these little locking pins to hold them in place. And once you put pressure back on the brakes and you got your pins in, it just kind of hold them in place. And the problem with that I was having with it not being able to slide is your brakes, your actual caliper is supposed to be able to, it floats, so it's supposed to be able to slide from side to side to adjust from different pressures. And that's what I wasn't getting. That's why it was giving me that binding feeling and feeling like I needed some brakes. So as you can see, if you watch this little pin, you can see I'm able to move the whole caliper, and that's what you want. That's what your brakes are supposed to be able to do. And if they can't do that, you got a problem. And if you're in my situation, you might feel like you need, if you look at your brake pads on my passenger side, the pad was way thicker than, or way thinner on the passenger side than they were on the driver's side. It's like they wasn't even engaging. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop these in, and then I'm gonna wrap up the video by showing you how to put the pins back in. All right, here we go. I'm putting my pads in. So on these pads, I'll show you with the other side. You have these holes in, 1 and 2. You can see the other one on the other end. And these push pins right here, that's what lock those and hold those into place. And then you have to put other hardware on. So I'm gonna go ahead and just show you guys. So as you can see, I already got this one in already, and you can see those push pins going through. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and put the other one in and push it up on the rotor, and go ahead and lock it into place with our locking bolt. All right, you guys, I got everything just about assembled. One thing I forgot to mention is once you put your pads and your pin in, before you do that, these areas here, these pins, grease them. This smooth surface and this part of your brake pads, grease them. All of this part, they will be touching metal, because if you don't, it can rust up and it'll cause a whole lot of noise. Trust me, I've done it before. Just make sure you grease these up, all of these slides, even the new pins. Like, make sure you put some grease, some brake grease off up in here, and take this bolt out, put it back in, even the bottom one. That way you ensure every time you do your brakes, make sure you grease those, so you won't have the problem that I had with the old one and with it seizing up. So if you want to do that, go ahead and do that. Oh, I'm gonna have to take one of these pins back out. Okay, we're gonna come back and I'm gonna wrap up the whole video with these when I put my adjuster pins back in. Got the locking pins in, guys. So what I had to do is I had to pull this bottom one back out, to be honest with you, and put this in. And this, it have the grooves already there for it to fit into. And so you just slide the pin back in and make sure you catch these 2 holes right here. And as you catch those 2 holes, you clamp these into place. As you can see, they have a hole there already for them. It locks the pad in. I'm gonna go ahead and go in and press my brake 5 times so I can put some pressure back on the actual pad so it can grab the rotor, and then I'm gonna go ahead and put my wheel back on. But I appreciate you guys for checking out the video. Hopefully, if you got a GS350 or any other vehicle where your brake caliper seizes up on you, I mean, it's a pretty simple installation, especially if you use the plastic bag and the reservoir trick. Until the next video, YouTube.